Hello, welcome back. In this video, we'll position the project management process groups with respect to the traditional system development lifecycle. We'll see what each process group involves. Let's start. Okay, I'm sure you would remember the system development lifecycle, or the traditional system development lifecycle phases from previous videos. You would also remember that we have a continuous activity related to the organization change management that runs in parallel and essentially a part of the life cycle. We also have another process group of another group of activities regarding project management. But you will see that this activity starts at a certain point and ends at another certain point. In fact, as we are talking about a project which has a certain start and end points, so it does not stretch over the entire life cycle. That's something that we have to make it very clear at this point. Now I'll make myself invisible at this point. Now let's crack open that particular activity of managing project and take a look at the process management process groups. Okay, it starts with the initiation, continues with the planning, and then execution. And this happens, this planning and execution in fact happens during monitoring and control, or let's say monitoring and control is something that surrounds these activities, and finally ends with the closing. Let's see more details. Okay, in the initiation, the objective is to ensure that the organization is committed to begin the project. I mean, we define what the project is all about. In fact, several decisions have to be made at this stage. What are the project goals? What do we target? What benefits do we expect at the end of the project? How will we measure them? How will we measure that we are there, that we were successful? What is the budget that we have in mind? What is the time frame? What is the duration that we have in mind? And what is the scope with respect to the budget and duration that we consider? What modules are we thinking about? Which business processes will be involved in this implementation? Which business processes will be supported by this enterprise system? What will be the project organization at a high level at this stage, not in detail? Who will be the project manager to start with? Which vendor or a consulting firm will be involved in this project, will be helping us, and so on and so forth. So it is quite, in fact, a very important stage. I would say quite a strategic phase at the beginning. Next is the planning. Again, it's very important, and it's very heavy, intense, I should say, with a lot of activities that we need to do. At this stage, basically, we kind of dig into the details of the scope itself. We refine the scope. We refine it to a level where the project tasks and work packages can be determined. And this is basically followed by the project schedule with the task sequences, the time and the resource requirements, cost, and so on and so forth for each project task. And then the project organization is clarified. So, I mean, who will be the project manager? Perhaps the project manager is already defined in the initiation, but still who will be in the functional team, for instance, who will be in the technical team, consultants, and so on and so forth. More details about the project organization will cover in a separate video. Next, you assess and plan for the project risks, the things that may go wrong, and if so, what should we do? We gain commitment for the resources. It's not just a plan, but we also have to communicate with the people that whether they are really committed, whether they can really be in this project and work for this project for the indicated for the time that we planned for. Obtain approval of the management so that, I mean, to move on with the project, with the execution of the project, are the things that we do in the project management. By the way, the details of these things we'll see in your handout of the project. The more details will be available to you. It's not just this page. In the project execution, we simply integrate the people and other resources to carry out the plan that we have done in the planning phase. In fact, that's what execution is all about. Of course, it's still a lot of work, and it's the actual work, in fact. I mean, acquisition and development and managing the project team, that happens here. It's a big thing, in fact. So you obtain the team, improve their competencies if they don't sufficiently have that. Improve the team interaction, building the team itself, tracking the team performance, for instance, is another one. Providing feedback, resolving problems, communicate. In fact, that's what you do as a project manager. That's in fact the heart of what project management is, I think. Perform quality assurance, audit the quality requirements and results from the quality control measurements to ensure that appropriate quality standards have been used in the project. Now, monitor the progress and so monitoring and control. This process group, in fact, mainly involves observing the project execution and so that potential problems can be identified in a timely manner and corrective actions can be taken when necessary or if necessary. So in fact, at this stage, we ask a lot of questions, quite a lot of questions. So how are we doing compared to the budget? How are we doing compared to the schedule? Does the scope continue to be reasonable within the time and cost dimension? Is the delivered quality sufficient, for instance? So, I mean, we simply do quality control here with this in this particular, in fact, process group. I mean, if you say no to this question, whether we are doing, if the delivered quality is reasonable or not, if the answer is no to one or more of these questions, then you have to, then you basically have a problem, and someone has to do something about it, which means you have to take or plan corrective actions, and that's essentially the reason for the circular shape that we have between planning and execution. So they continue within the project, typically in several rounds until the closure, until all the project activities are done. Now let me close myself and talk about the closing. Closing aims at bringing the project to an orderly end, formally terminating all activities of a project. That's what closing is. So it simply involves handing off the completed product. At this stage, you also consider plans for maintenance, for instance. And a good practice would be to perform post-mortem to see what the lessons learned were, so that we don't do the same mistakes that we have done in this project in the next one. Okay, now these are or were the project management process groups in a nutshell. You will see more slides, as I mentioned, in the lecture handout, so don't worry about the details. That you don't have to take notes at this stage, at least. And see you in the next video.